I've been watching Big Brother for the better part of my life, and as history would have it, I've always recognized the games and felt more kinship with the Machiavellian types. The Pauls, the Dans, the house guests that played fearlessly without trepidation to get to the end. We've had some great seasons of Big Brother in the past 5 or so years, and it's interesting to look at the games played by many of the final twos throughout the seasons and point out who played a better game. I understand the argument that whoever wins the season deserves to win, but I think it's okay to be able to take some players' gameplay that objectively had a more buffed up resume or social tactics that lost against some players that may have just been more likable. I started writing my script for a top 10 video, but by the time I was done, I had come up with something that interested me more. I thought it would be fun to analyze the gameplay of my favorite player from the celebrity spin-off version of the show, Ross Matthews.
Hello! I'm a nudger, and I'm gonna nudge my way to winning Celebrity Big Brother.
America's favorite house guest, but runner-up to the $250,000. Why did Ross lose out in the end 6-3 to his ride-or-die Marissa? How could he have changed his gameplay to get the money in the end? We're going to be diving headfirst into this subject today. First things first, rewatching this season, I really felt it shared a lot of traits from classic Big Brother seasons. Everyone played hard, and people were not afraid to make big moves. It was a really rejuvenating experience in contrast to this current season's late game that hasn't been the most entertaining season I've ever seen.
I would give Jag that same congratulations if he wasn't playing against 2 senior citizens, 1 airhead and 1 idiot.
And I may be making Ross the main character in this video, but I do need to highlight that Marissa and Omarosa are very important figures to this main plot. After all, who wants to watch Batman without the Joker?
I'm Batman. I'm watching you through the night.
Ross busted on our screens as the lovable Tonight Show intern superfan that was ready to make big moves and burrow socially into the fabrics of the BB game. Admittedly, I'm more of a David Letterman fan, so I didn't know much about Ross, but I was eager to see what he had to give to the game.
Hi, Ross.
Hi. I support everything Shannon said. It's very important.
Please cast your vote to evict.
I vote to evict Shannon, but I support her.
Thank you.
Ross immediately aligned with the women, making their side the heavy honchos of authorities on how to play and navigate the game. Making things 7-4, Ross was in a great spot. Not to mention it can only help by having a reality TV villain and Shannon the overplayer on your side to deflect the target. He found a loyal ride or die in Marissa, and this would prove to be his most important relationship in the game. For the first vote, he was able to slide by without any side-eye. However, he made an enemy in Omarosa when the majority group voted out MMA legend Chuck Liddell over Golden Boy James Maslow, leaving Omarosa and Keisha blindsided and up creek without a paddle.
People come up here and say it's not personal, and it is not personal.
Ross, it's okay.
It's Big Brother.
You don't have to struggle through it. We got it.
I'm not going
We
to
got
struggle.
it long ago. We got it.
Can I do it, or do you want?
No. Save it. It's okay. We're okay.
Do you want to head out and I'll say it to everybody else?
No, I'm not going anywhere. But you can keep talking.
Ross's disarming demeanor might have worked on the guys, but Omarosa quickly was able to pinpoint Ross's deceptive capabilities and what he would mean as an opponent in the game. Big player Shannon really helped in forming solidarity against Omarosa and Keisha, and with an HOH win and an unnecessary veto win, she had bolstered herself as a main threat. Ross was able to win the Big Brother Bowl Arena and secure his spot as second HOH of the season. Omarosa and Keisha were big threats. However, the superfan in Ross knew if he had the opportunity to backdoor Shannon, he would be a fool to not take it. He may have developed a Final Four with Marissa, James, and Shannon, but he never had any intention of going far in the game with this power alliance.
We do a Final Four, you, me, Ross, and Marissa.
Final Four, any alliances before this are null and void. Any way to keep this four to the end.
I could totally see myself in the Final Four with these guys. Or another Final Four.
He took many opportunities to highlight the target that Shannon had put on herself, despite not nominating her. When Omarosa returns from the hospital after an asthma attack, he then spearheads his plan to backdoor ally Shannon. It's very interesting watching Big Brother as a hobby most of your life, where you see people have fought tooth and nail to get themselves on the show, and then watching this celebrity spin-off version where many celebrities just want to be voted off. I assume so they still keep their paycheck. A very beautiful backdoor plan on Shannon goes awry, and Keisha goes home through no fight of her own. This is not the worst thing for Omarosa's game, however. She very nearly was the house guest evicted, and for Keisha to fall on her sword to get home to her baby just keeps Omarosa laying low and playing smart. This is when Ross really starts to spread his tentacles. He's not able to play for a head of household, and he's quite vulnerable at this point. It only makes sense he would buddy up with Mark and keep his foursome with Brandy, Ari, and Marissa happy to get another day farther in the game. Ari wins HOH and Ross is safe another week. They're valuable allies together, and it would be silly for Ari to go after him when comp beasts like Shannon, James, and social threats like Omarosa are around. Ross does all he can to target Shannon and James to get them nominated for eviction. Even early in the game, he is showing his social prowess of forcing his own agenda to be a like-minded goal for Ari and Brandy. And it works. Through quick wit and sharp social maneuvering, Ross is proving to be a force in the game.
How you play this game, it's philosophy. It's, do you follow or do you lead? Do you swing hard or do you hide in corners?
Everyone's still on board to backdoor Shannon. We just have to figure out how. Is it we nominate Omarosa and Meta and then we try to backdoor Shannon? Or will Ari just take out the big guns and put both James and Shannon on the block and really shake this house up like it's never been shaken before?
And it does not go unnoticed. Every story needs an antagonist, and Omarosa is definitely fine adversity that Ross will have to prove himself against. When we come to the veto competition, the golden boy James pulls it out and saves himself from eviction. Shannon really starts to spiral here. She has been publicly touted as the #1 target from the beginning of the season, and the responsibility she spelled out only helped hinder her standing. I find it funny she says she doesn't think she deserves to be on the block, when that's such an obtuse question. What makes someone ideal for the block? Well, being a comp beast, check. Social threat, check. And a wealth of game knowledge from past seasons, check. Shannon, what are you talking about? You're the perfect fit here. Shannon begins to feel like her final four with Ross and Marissa was fake from the beginning and really grows to resent the duo. Omarosa only highlights this fact for Shannon to remember later down the line. Brandy tells Shannon that it was a group decision and that Shannon being evicted is just game. Shannon doesn't seem to think so and really clings to the final four she had with Ross and Marissa. How could her friends betray her like that? Shannon's biggest problem in the game was she was never able to understand her own threat level.
Yeah, I just feel very betrayed. I don't think I deserve to be on the block.
I'm most upset with Marissa and Ross because I had a final four with them and they stabbed me in the back worse than anyone. So they won't be getting my vote in the end, that much I can say.
I know you're really pissed at me, but you'll see. You'll see what happened.
Okay.
Okay? You'll see.
Okay. Don't expect to get my vote in the end.
The American Pie actress had lasted long enough for the house, and they are ready to burn her. Shannon is evicted, and you know there are many feelings left unanswered. Omarosa continues to tell Shannon over and over that she is the best Big Brother player ever, and if I had to find a reason, I think it was because of how badly Shannon wanted to succeed in the game. And she must have known fairly early on that Shannon could be a bitter juror, and that a big compliment can make all the difference in a win and 50K. For even now, before being evicted, Shannon vows to not give her vote to Ross and Marissa in the end. I was listening as she leaves the house, and she even tells Meta where Orwell the Owl is hidden. She hid his stuffed plushie? That's devious gameplay. And we're met with everyone's favorite competition, the wall comp, with just a few changes. They can sit on the wall. Is this a direct dichotomy of social status of living where celebrities get it just a bit easier, and the blue-collar everyman has to stand against the wall? Probably not. Omarosa wins head of household, and we have another large power shift in the game. I told you that it's reminiscent of old school Big Brother. Our HOH uses her power to leverage new alliances and try and form a new coalition going against the foursome.
What I'm not fine with is Omarosa being HOH. That concerns me way more.
The pairs in the house are a big threat to my game. So it's time to shake up the house, make a power move, and start splitting up these pairs.
I would never want to go against her in the Big Brother house. She really knows what she's doing. Omarosa returns Ross's nomination favor and puts up himself and Brandy for eviction. We now have a battle of the titans, Ross versus Omarosa. But in a game where social capital is more important than competition wins, just who will rise above and get the last laugh. Omarosa has made it no secret she wants Ross gone. They've been pitted against each other the whole game. But Brandy hasn't exactly been the best social player here. Starting fights out of nowhere just makes players more interested in keeping Ross. Being the superfan Ross is, he no doubt is not interested in waiting until veto to save his game. He wants the vote secured to allow his game to continue. He and Marissa create a Final Four with Mark and James called the Roomies that allows no matter what happens with the veto to keep him in. As long as James and Mark are united in turning their backs on Omarosa, Ross should be just fine.
I need James and Mark to vote for me to stay in the house. So I have to talk to them eye to eye and gauge how they're feeling. Try to confirm if they're with me or against me. I had to do some major gaming to stay in the house this week. And that meant convincing Marissa to work with Mark and James to save me.
It is unnecessary, however, as Ross emerges as the winner of the VIP veto, allowing him to use the veto power twice if he so chooses. Ross's target only is increasing with his comp wins. Here we get another lame quit from Meta World Peace as Omarosa puts him up as replacement for Ross, leading to a unanimous vote. Hey, at least we got all the quitters out now, right? I'm a little shocked that Omarosa acquiesces with Meta's wishes here of being put up. Omarosa did not have many allies in the house, and Meta very well could have been a workhorse for her. But you can't convince someone to play the game, I guess. Meta is evicted, and there are 3 pairs left in a game with 1 solo player. Ross and Marissa seem in the best spot at the moment, straddling a Final Four with Brandy and Ari, and a Final Four with Mark and James. That's great positioning. At the next head of household competition, Ross throws it as to not have to draw a line in the sand regarding his Final Four plans.
Going into this HOH competition, I'm in a pretty good spot because I'm working with everybody except for Omarosa. So why would I want to win and have to make a choice when I don't really need to right now? My goal is to throw it, but just barely.
This is smart gameplay, and he feels assured in his relationships to be able to play this move so late in the game. James, of course, dominates like he has most of the time in the physical sphere of Big Brother, and lets Mark take the reins this time. Omarosa massages Brandy and Ari nominations for Mark and hopes she is not on the block that week. She has shown to be influential at times when needed and be able to win or at least convince others to take the shot elsewhere with a loaded gun pointed at her. Even with house guests like Ross and Marissa willing to throw shade on Omarosa in effort to try and get her nominated, she's proven to be able to become stalwart and immovable in most situations. She is free from the block, however Ari and Brandy are not as lucky. Ross here proves his ability to be able to pivot. His optimal Final Four is targeted, and he's easily able to move into his alternate Final Four with Mark and James. More great positioning from the Tonight Show intern. However, Brandy begins to suspect that Ross knew about the nominations well prior before they happened. She's pegged Ross as a suspect player that can be a snake at times, and she's not wrong.
And I have a weird feeling that Ross knew. It's part of the decision.
Ross is making deals with every single person in the house, and now I just feel like he'll go with whoever has the power.
He caught Ross.
He has shown that he is not one to go down on a sinking ship and unafraid to make new deals to propel himself in the game. Ari wins the power of veto and saves herself from any funny business on the block. Ross, of course, encourages an Omarosa renom plan, but is that really what's best for Mark's game? Like Ross, he's been skating between alliances with Ross and Marissa and James and Omarosa. Mark doesn't take the bait, which is a pretty smart move from the rock star. Way to go, Mark. No need to do Ross's dirty work for him. He puts his best ally up, Marissa, instead. With Ross and James not wanting an ally out, Brandy is an easy vote that will not haunt them. It's here in the goodbye messages of Brandy you can see Ross attempting to be remorseful and regretful for his friend's demise. But is it being taken as genuine or an attempt at jury management?
Shannon, I absolutely adore you. I just know what everybody in this house knows. That if you're here, we have no chance to win. Brandy, I would have stayed true to you till the end. But the line was drawn and I had to make a choice.
Brandy is evicted 3-1, but the night is not over yet. A double eviction looms over their heads, and it wouldn't be like old school Big Brother if the power didn't swap over to Omarosa, of course. She wins and nominates Ross again with Marissa. Ross is able to win the power of veto and save his game. Omarosa will have a big target out on her reign no matter what, and puts up Comp Beast James for renomination. Mr. Maslow is voted out 2-1 and expresses faint dismay for Ross not voting to evict Marissa.
Hello, Ross.
Hi, Julie. It's been a day.
Yes, it has. I need you to cast your vote to evict now.
I vote to evict James.
Thank you.
You know, Ross has played a solid game all the way through. I don't think keeping Marissa over me was best for his game, frankly, because I think he had a better chance of winning next to me than next to her.
Marissa just survived the double by the skin of her teeth by being on the block twice in the evictions. It's a testament to her social game how she has not made any enemies in the house the entire game. Finale night is upon us, and it has not gone over Ross's head how well liked Marissa is in the eyes of the jury. He says his ideal final two would be Mark, and I have to say I think he's right here. It's interesting to note despite being ride or dies with Marissa, he never commits to a final two with her the entire game. At the next head of household comp, it's Ross and Mark left standing. Ross convinces Mark to throw it to him so he can get a letter from his family. Mark is happy to go along with it. Ross nominates Omarosa and Ari. Now, Omarosa and Ross have each nominated each other twice. Ross wins the power of veto, and Big O will finally go.
This is the final veto. I've been trying to get Omarosa out for weeks. If Omarosa wins the power of veto, she could win the whole thing. I will celebrate when I win the entire game.
Surprise, surprise, Ross wins yet another competition. I've been gunning for Ross since the beginning because I knew he was a big threat, and this just proves that point.
Please cast your vote to evict.
I vote to evict Omarosa.
I choose to evict Omarosa.
By a vote of 2-0, Omarosa, you are evicted from the Big Brother house.
This is where the rules break off from the main series. In a traditional Final Four, there would be HOH, then veto, and finally eviction. However, in the expedited game, whoever wins this final HOH, they choose who sits next to them at the end, and effectively evicts two players at once. It's hard to say how things would go if Ari or Mark wins, but I'm confident if Ross wins this last competition, he takes Mark and takes the whole game. But that's not meant to be, and our gal Marissa will win HOH and take Ross to the final two. A huge win for Marissa that only bolsters her resume and win equity. After 26 days sequestered from the outside world, and we are finally at the climax of the season. You have Marissa. She was loyal to her main ally and never wavered, even accepting to take a threat like Ross to the end, knowing he very well could win outright. You have Ross, a player that has proven to be able to adapt to the game around him and never let loyalty constrain his ability to get to the end or win competitions.
Let's be honest, I'm never gonna win a Tony like Marissa, I'm never gonna be a rock singer like Mark, I'll never work in the White House like Omarosa, and I'll probably never win Miss Columbia like Ari, but I could win Celebrity Big Brother.
I love you guys so much, and I know you guys know what my decision is, because I wouldn't be standing here if it weren't for Ross, so I love you guys, and I'm sorry, but I vote to evict you, Mark, and you, Ari.
It's a pretty great final two, all things considered. And I went in thinking Ross would most likely mop the floor with her when it came to votes. But it's also important to mention Omarosa and how she feels about Ross. She's seen talking to the jury in segments where she's not allowed, even having Julie calling it out. When going up for the final vote, she says she's voting for the person who didn't target her the whole game. I wonder who that is.
Jurors, you can't confer with one another and try to influence votes here. Omarosa. No ba. Yeah.
We still have to talk.
I'm voting for the person who I just love so much and wasn't gunning for me the whole entire time.
I think it's very likely Omarosa tried to influence things as much as she could, but would it make a difference? Shannon also holds much disdain for things done in the house in regards to Ross and is not ready to forgive. Jury questions are asked and answered to the best of their ability. Marissa highlights how she was loyal to Ross. Ross highlights how he was loyal to himself and was ready to pivot whenever he had to survive. It's evident in this jury that they favored a straightforward game and a winner that didn't completely screw them over. These are celebrities with egos, and it's hard to not take a game like Big Brother personal.
Paul,
In your last season, your gameplay was based on friendship. This season, why did you decide to go against that by creating friendships and alliances and then destroying them?
The vote is complete, and Marissa Jarrett Winokur wins 6-3 against Ross Matthews. Ross was able to get Meta, Mark, and Brandy's jury votes. Brandy even says she was voting for the shadiest person in the house, a compliment and nod to Ross. I guess she didn't find his goodbye message as genuine, but here it helped him out. All in all, it was a fun season of Big Brother with big characters and many power struggles that swapped constantly, keeping us interested until the controversial finale where many thought Ross should have won. What could he have done differently? Sure, he could have never targeted big players like Shannon and Omarosa, but I don't think it would have mattered much. I think it really just comes down to him losing that final head of household and eliminating the most liked person in the house. That may just have been his big misstep in the game. At least he was able to gain America's favor with being voted favorite house guest. That has to at least be validating to your Big Brother game.
But you know what? You're going home with 50 grand.
And I just want to say, I'm sorry about the lying, but hello, it's Big Brother. You have to, if you're going to come in the house, you gotta play this game.
All right.
If you haven't gotten enough of players Ross and Marissa after you watch this season, I highly recommend going to watch their Big Brother Facebook show, Off the Block. There really is a lot you can take from the sentiment of the hosts and how they feel having just completed their season within that year. I watched all their episodes discussing Big Brother 20, and there are some interesting similarities between the two. Marissa early on in the season says if Casey is in the final two, she wins the game. Ross is a little skeptical when discussing the situation with Tyler. Can a player that has had such a hand in shaping the game really lose to a player who seemingly wasn't as responsible? Sure enough, Big Brother 20 played out very close to how Celebrity Big Brother did, with the likable yet more passive player winning over the player that seemingly had a large hand in every eviction. Poetic justice? Maybe. Here's hoping for a shocking blindside at the end here of Big Brother 25. But I doubt it. Thanks for checking out my video and my thoughts on Ross, Marissa, and Omarosa's game during Celebrity Big Brother. If you would like to see more content like this, hit the subscribe and like buttons. It's only more fuel for me to keep going on this Big Brother train. Until next time.
You want to see my confused and listening face, but when I really know what's going on? It's this, ready? It's really good.